we definitely always have time for our favorite Ava Braun impersonator, Laura Ingraham. Now, Laura, of course, is, she always goes as the same thing for Halloween. And I think it's just her favorite character from The Man in the High Castle, but, which is all of them. And, this is, oh, great. Hi, Sandy. Welcome. Thanks for finding us. I normally have a much better production, but then you're starting in on the low bar, and now you'll get it. So, what you're seeing here, full steam behind, you got Biden in an engineer's outfit with a train. And the idea is that America sucks. That's the Fox News message right now. That America, her days are past. Listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that China has already kicked our ass. There is simply no there. America's done. Stick a fork in her, and it's all gone. So let me make sure that the audio's okay on this, so that we don't go through some sort of loop back hell. If you'll recall, there was some weird looping effect when I did the radio show, and literally CSL had to call me on the phone and go, help, because I couldn't tell from what I was looking at, because all I saw was just like audio metering, right? But it was actually horrifying. So, anyways, let's see. Getting ready to eat. I'm sorry, Kenneth. I'm going to ruin your meal. Here it comes.
Full steam behind.
Okay. Which is, by the way, a rare condition. But if you have it, I would recommend that you see a doctor, quite frankly. All right. Joke number 1.
That's the focus of tonight's angle.
This is the Ingraham angle because she's got a Ingraham.
Before flying off to Europe today, Joe Biden made a personal mission to Capitol Hill to urge Democrats to pass his so-called infrastructure plan.
No, it is an infrastructure plan. Now, I know that you have to understand, they say so-called a lot at Fox about the infrastructure bill, not because of the social spending bill, the larger Build Back Better plan, for example, which talks about like educational infrastructure, say making sure you have universal pre-K, community college, that kind of shit. She's not talking about that. What she means is that America isn't worth repairing the roads on. So the first bill, the 1.5, that she doesn't want that either. Because how can America be taken over by the authoritarian and I guess quasi/totalitarian / psycho corporate or whatever she thinks her version of governing is. I don't really quite know her philosophy. I know they called themselves National Socialists, but it's hard to get a read. And I kid about the Nazi thing. She made the salute. It's a running gag. Get over it. Not calling her a Nazi, just saying it didn't look like she was waving to someone in the stands. That's all I'm saying. So, they simply do not believe that infrastructure in the United States, including broadband or bridges or any of that stuff, is worth salvaging. There you go.
I don't think it's hyperbole to say that the House and Senate majorities and my presidency will be determined by what happens in the next week. I need you to help me, he said. I need your votes.
Yeah, he does, actually. That's why he had a meeting with the people to get everybody on board, because they're voting, because one group wants this bill really bad, and everybody wants this bill really bad, and the people who only want this bill basically are threatening this bill that everybody wants with the bill that not everybody wants. And so that's politicking, and this is how you actually have a functioning government. You know, it's kind of nice, actually, if you think about it, that we actually have disagreements being worked out in a democracy. Weird, huh?
Probably did that weird whisper thing.
Did he? Well, this is news, I guess. He probably did. Yes, he probably did that weird whisper thing. And the entire time this was up, she was doing a Nazi salute and the OK sign. Probably, since it's Laura Ingraham. I'm going to guess that anytime she's off camera, she holds a comb up under her nose and just feels better. Probably. You know, odds are.
Well, Pelosi echoed his plea, telling her members Don't embarrass the president by voting down the infrastructure.
Yeah, that's wise. And I would add, not only that, I'm going to take off the closed caption. Not only don't embarrass the president, don't embarrass yourselves by fucking up all the streets and the roads and bridges and making basically Democrats responsible for a infrastructure week joke. Because we passed this, and Donald Trump's whole infrastructure week nonsense goes from sort of a light meme to a frigging setup to a slam dunk punchline.
Reportedly, some members actually began breaking out in chants, not "Let's go Brandon," but "Vote, vote, vote."
Yes, well, that's preferable if you like democracy, which I know you don't. I'm going to get it. And the "Let's go Brandon" thing is obviously right-wingers' way of signaling their support for Joe Biden. They can't say "Let's go Biden," so they have to say "Let's go Brandon," otherwise the right-wingers around them are violent and it might set them off. So it's sort of code. And if you don't believe me, who cares? I'm just going to stick to that. I'm owning that one. That's what I'm going to tell everybody. "Let's go Brandon" is actually "Let's go Biden." It's not the F Joe Biden. You can say F Joe Biden. Say that. If you're saying "Let's go Brandon," you're actually saying "Let's go Biden." And that's because if you say "Let's go Biden" in America today about the current American president, right-wingers will break into your house through a window and shit in your office. It's a problem.
But to what end?
The passage of the $1.5 trillion infrastructure bill and the $1.7 trillion Build Back Better plan, which deals with financing and funding. By the way, the economy is slowing right now because of the supply chain problems, and it's very important that we fuse some money back in that isn't UI, so people can just sit home and all the money goes to Amazon again. It's got to be more investment oriented this time around because we're coming out of the pandemic. If you want a functioning country. Now, understand, Tucker Carlson and a good portion of Fox News would like a authoritarian version of Marxism, genuinely, because you would stay home all the time and just watch Fox News.
I have signaled for days that we simply did not have the votes for the bipartisan bill without the other bill, the Build Back Better Act. Our members have been saying for months that these two bills need to go together.
Right. That was the argument. That was actually Biden's idea. By the way, he's in Vatican City. All right, cool. No wonder he looks tired. By the way, Wolf Blitzer is the most inappropriately named human being on the goddamn planet. No one could look less like Wolf Blitzer. If you close your eyes and you go, I am picturing a person named Wolf Blitzer. They look exactly like Duke Nukem, if you're familiar. Wolf looks like a fill-in banjo player in one of my dad's old bands. Like, good night, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unite. Jerry, as you know, had a dog problem, so he can't be here tonight. So we got, what's this fellow's name? Wolf Blitzer coming in. Jesus Christ. Oh, you're a lot smaller than I thought you'd be. Sit on down there. Howdy, folks. I'm Wolf Blitzer. Good to meet you. You're all right. You're all right, Wolf. Just call me Dog. That's what my friends do. Wolf Blitzer's my formal name. My stage name is Hound Dog Hugger. It's just a lot more inviting.
And that's what they're holding out for.
Right, we know this. This is, by the way, new. This is from today. Where have you been?
In other words, the grand madam of vote whipping, Nancy Pelosi, was herself whipped by the squad.
The House Speaker and the President raised the stakes, and it didn't work.
Said, we want to make sure that when the president lands in Europe, that people know this is a functioning government. Well, that's not going to happen. And so that is a...
Look at this dude over here. Yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's a functioning government. Bills take a while. It's an infrastructure bill. Calm yourself. The Civil Rights Act took months.
That is a loss.
That the president, and I think in this case too, the speaker don't necessarily have the leverage or the juice that maybe they thought they did.
Ouch.
Yes. If only Donald Trump could be in there, infrastructure would have already. Oh shit.
With Trump, it was the art of the deal. But
Was it the art of the deal? I'm going to go with shard of the deal. Secondly, let's be abundantly clear. Trump never got an infrastructure deal, and the deal he struck to get out of Afghanistan, he never intended to follow through on ever. Also, the art of the deal with China, the Chinese deal that he pretended COVID was no big deal for months because he didn't want to upset Xi Jinping while he was getting his trade deal done, which now he just doesn't feel the same about. It was a 3-phase deal, if you'll recall. 2 of the phases he did not ultimately get done, but phase 1 they managed to sign right before lockdown. And interestingly enough, phase 1, if you'll recall, this is how they went through. There was $30 billion. Phase 1 was $30 billion in agricultural goods that they were going to buy. 500. Remember, we have a $500 billion trade surplus with China, and phase 1 was $30 billion of it, and ultimately. They did about $12 billion, and then they blew off the rest of it. So you'll have to read between the lines in terms of the art of the deal working, Laura. Sorry, I keep pronouncing her name wrong. It's Laura Ingraham. Sorry, go ahead.
with Biden and Pelosi, it's the art of the fail.
Ouch. What about the $1.9 trillion bill that went through earlier this year that was the rescue package, biggest rescue package in history, bigger than what Trump was managing to do even at the height of the pandemic with, help from the Senate pushing it through. No? That you wouldn't consider that a win? Huh. Odd. Even though that there's infrastructure in that bill as well? Don't get me started.
The Democrats, they have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And yet they're the gang who can't shoot straight.
Or they're negotiating across a genuine divide of ideas instead of all standing lockstep. Because, you see, 68% of Americans are for the primary infrastructure bill, right? And you got 69 69 senators, 68, I think, 68 senators, almost to the number, right, in America that voted for the infrastructure bill to go back to the House, get a final vote, get sent to the president's desk, right? Now, that's not because those are the only senators. There's 50 Democrats. All of them are in districts that are a mix. They may favor Democrats, but they're a mix of Republicans and Democrats in those areas. And in every single one of those Senate areas, including Joe Manchin's, 68 to 69% of Americans across the political spectrum, they want this infrastructure bill. And that's almost to the number how many people in the Senate voted for it. Now, the Senate is not divided up by who would be for and who would be against it. So all the other Republicans who voted against this infrastructure bill and who will not vote for it next time, and if they had to pass it themselves, would not have the votes to do it without the Democratic Party carrying the weight for them. All those people, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, all those folks, they all live in districts where the infrastructure bill is 68 to 69% popular. There's a plurality. Almost 3/4 of their voters across the political spectrum, including Republicans, are for this infrastructure bill. But they're voting against it because, what's the word? Oh yeah, they're elites from Washington who don't listen to the will of the people that they represent. Where have I heard that before? Shit.
Plus, they've been wrong in their predictions on every major issue. and their confidence in that Afghan army and their insistence that inflation.
The confidence in the Afghan army? I don't know. Didn't you guys bust Biden for calling out the president of Afghanistan for not speaking, literally not selling it better because they were going to fall apart? And they were going to hold it together, but we needed to get the fuck out of there. And by the way, aren't we out of, did we get out of Afghanistan? We're not in Afghanistan, are we anymore? Who's bogged down in Afghanistan right now? Oh, right. Taliban's fighting ISIS, and Russia and China are having problems with ISIS and members of Al-Qaeda going through Uzbekistan into Russia and into China through the border. ETIM is fighting against the Chinese government because of how they treat the Uyghurs. I'm sure it'd be better if we were there. I'm sure. Was it $300 billion?
Will be
$300 million a day.
And tonight will add to their newest list of failed predictions that passing these bills, even pared down, will somehow be a lifeline to boosting their popularity.
Well, no, it's just the right thing to do. Apparently, Republicans are shitting on these bills and not voting for them, even if the majority of the people in their district want them, because their primary voters and the base of the Republican Party will get mad if they vote for anything, even if it will fix the roads near their homes.
Now, if anything, with the spike in prices coming and the dimming power of the dollar, Biden's numbers...
The dimming power of the dollar? That's not our fucking problem right now. There are literally not enough dollars in the world monetary system. Go look at Fox Business or CNBC or any of the business channels. The problem with the dollar is that it's too strong right now. That's what they keep bitching about.
Just going to go lower. Today, the GDP numbers were released, and the news was, as usual, under Biden, disappointing.
Well, no, as usual, if you pare it out over time, it's actually a great improvement. But now we're dealing with the fact that the stalling of this shit by the Republicans is actually causing harm.
The fact is, even at a reduced price of $1.5 trillion, a staggering amount still, it's still way more than we can afford.
Why? We have a $29 trillion economy. This is literally, imagine yourself in a loveless marriage, sitting across the dining room table from Laura Ingraham as rain pours down on your head. And her argument is, we can't afford to patch the roof. And you're going, but our filet mignon is getting wet.
We are literally sticking our grandchildren with these bills.
No, we're not literally sticking our grandchildren with these bills. As a matter of fact, we're investing in the infrastructure that our grandchildren will use to make the money they're going to make.
Is immoral. But the spinmeisters in the Biden cabinet, oh, they were all happy talk today. I was howling watching them. And
I have a hard time believing this woman laughs genuinely. That's just my own personal read. That every laugh she has is sort of a bring me those puppies kind of a cackle, but not really a, oh God, that got me.
It's like kind of trying to sell sand in the Mojave Desert.
I see that. That's a fresh analogy.
The provisions that are in these two bills, oh my gosh, so fantastic. The things that have been left out are not off, we're not dead on any of them. We're going to live to fight another day. We have never seen this kind of investment in our country, and people should be feeling like, man, this is action, and real people are going to feel.
Why wouldn't you just play like a piece of what she's saying where you can find full context, Laura? Like, someone like I do, where I play the clip that Laura Ingraham would post on the internet, for example, for her show on her YouTube channel in its entirety, where I would garner what she is trying to say and the full context of her remarks from that entire clip. And if I am unable to, or I take something out of context, it is actually on her and her staff for posting only a partial argument. Or Or you could do like a smash cut every sentence.
Real impacts as a result.
Oh, yeah, Jennifer, they're going to feel real impacts, all right, on their wallets.
Yes, they are going to make money. Yes, if you want an electric car or something like that, you're going to want more charging stations. And if there are fewer of them, they can charge you a higher rate, and it will take you longer. And yes, they will feel it in their wallets. What you want to do is feel it like you have to qualify that, Laura Ingraham.
Any short-term stimulus from this bill will be quickly diluted into supercharged inflation.
How? Oh, because if people who work on roads and bridges and trains and airports and that kind of shit, if those people have more work to do, they're going to have more money to spend, and other people are just going to swoop in and take their money because of isolated pockets of growth in the. If anybody gets more money in their pocket in the economy in the United States, all prices go up because 7-Eleven is a monster.
Supposedly, this is how they're going to pretend to pay
Supposedly.
for all this. A 15% corporate minimum tax also applies to foreign income for U.S.-based multinationals, a 1% excise on corporate stock buybacks,
Right?
5% surtax on incomes above 10 million, additional 3% for incomes above 25 million.
Dear God, 8%. You realize most actors pay their agents 10%, and they don't pay taxes on that 10% that's gone. Somebody else pays taxes on that.
3.8% tax on active business income for high earners. And, well, don't think for a second that these punitive new taxes are actually going to pay for the left spending plans.
Well, no, the universal pre-K and those kind of things, that's paid for with that. The infrastructure bill is an investment-based bill, and therefore the improved services increase, road width, the strength of bridges, that kind of stuff. They improve, they get rid of all the lost productivity and all the issues with transport and the like, and business travelers having to wait longer, and availability of flights and safety in the air and all the things that keep people from flying, that balloons out into an expansion of those particular things. And that's what pays for those things. You don't have to raise the taxes on that because more people being on the road, buying gas and all that kind of stuff, and safely getting where they want to go instead of bottlenecks and shitty roads, increases productivity across the board. But, you'd only know that if you gave a shit about the country.
They never do. It's all part of an accounting game to win over the gullible, squishy Republicans and moderate Democrats.
Oh, see, I couldn't say anything during the when she's slamming on Republicans, because please continue. Delicate and squishy? Josh Hawley looks delicate. Ted Cruz looks squishy. I don't think that's what she means.
And that's why it's important to look beyond the price tag. Again, it's a steep price tag.
No, it isn't. It's so fucking not. Imagine, if you would, that let's just say, for in layman's terms, let's say you make $29 million a year gross before taxes, and it would cost you $1.5 million to fix your car so that you guarantee it will get you where you're going, and to pay for plane tickets you need to travel for business, and at the same time you'd be able to get a car for all your employees. 1.5 million. You make $29 million a year. It costs $1.5 million to fix all that shit, and you're prorating it out. You're mortgaging that $1.5 million. Remember, you make $29 million a year. You're prorating that 1.5 over 10 years. What kind of a dumbass skinflint doesn't make that investment? Laura Ingraham.
These numbers are just easily manipulated.
By the way, I only say her name that way because I know that would make her skin crawl. If that's actually how you would pronounce that name, knock yourself out, man. Also, TV hosts, especially local news anchors, figure out the tones on Chinese people's names. I don't give a fuck if you say Jose Gonzalez, because if you say a Spanish name with or without an accent, it doesn't change the meaning. We know who Jose Gonzalez is. You don't have to say Jose Gonzalez. Like, oh, that's who you're talking about. Fuck. But if you say a Chinese person's name with the wrong tones, you change their entire fucking name.
Because they game the CBO scoring process. What's actually more important and far more disturbing is what's in this bill.
Great. And what's even more disturbing is how she phrases them. Beefed up Affordable Care Act subsidies through 2025. Ooh, beefed up. Vegans won't like that. Expanded Medicaid subsidies through 2025. Fucking horrible. How are we going to get ahead as a country if we don't ice flow some of these old people? Folks, they've outlived their usefulness. We've got to stop saving old people. So says Laura Ingraham. All right. $555 billion for climate change programs over 10 years. So that the climate change programs have to be more than 10 years old. Yes, $555 billion for climate change over 10 years. Yes, 10 years out. What are those climate change programs? Laura, what are they? What are these so-called climate change programs? You mean the kind of thing that like shores up buildings in places like Miami so they don't fall into the fucking sea? Or the rerouting of water systems to make sure that, no, you don't give a shit about that? $555 billion over 10 years. Do you have any idea how much Afghanistan cost? And Laura Ingraham was all in on us being in Afghanistan and staying the fuck there. $3 trillion, by the way. Civilian climate corps. Jesus Christ. You mean people can work to fix these problems and then they can get paid to do it? $320 billion for renewable energy, electric vehicles, and green manufacturing. Okay, no problems there. $105 billion for climate change resilience. What do you think she's stacking some of the other stuff? Climate change resilience is making sure the buildings don't fall into the sea and helping people move or financing moves where the like the industries like docks, for example, in certain areas where the water level is coming up, so you're gonna have to move the whole fucking dock back over the next 10 years. That you might want to do that because the water's rising and it's gonna, yeah. Let's see, 110 for growth to grow supply chains for renewable energy tech. What that means is factories here. $20 billion for government to purchase cutting edge energy tech. Awesome. Preschool for all 3 and 4 year olds funded over 6 years. That also not a problem. All 3 and 4 year olds, not just the white ones. How could this be? Seeks to cap the cost of childcare, but it doesn't. All right. Yes, it would cap the costs, the limit. Okay. 1 year extension of the child tax credit. 1 year extension of earned income tax credit for childless workers. Because we got to be fair. God forbid. $150 billion for affordable housing programs. Jesus, how dare they? How are you going to make people motivated to work if they don't fear homelessness by seeing it every day? We need the homeless out on the street, decaying before our eyes, to keep us going to a regular job, lest a bunch of these people decide to start their own fucking businesses. How will giant corporations fare if people feel safe to be able to go and start their own business? It's a nightmare. And then finally, $100 billion for immigration-related provisions. Oh, at the terrible end of immigration-related provisions. Does that mean we're building the wall? So let's see. All right.
Here's a rundown, if you can read that little font there.
I just did. Yeah. And by the way, you chose that fucking font, dum-dum. What do you mean, if you can read that font? Blow them up. It's your goddamn show.
It's a massive expansion of welfare programs.
No, it is not. First of all, preschool is not fucking welfare. Unless you're talking about provide for the common welfare, which is in the goddamn Constitution, you un-American flack. But at the same time, the child tax credit, they consider that welfare. It's a tax credit. It's paid out beforehand. Obviously, if you make a shit ton of money, you're not going to clear, it's obviously going to cost you more. But there's a baseline where where the country says, if you got a child, you got expenses that cut against what you would consider income. You got money coming in, but because you have a child, we want to make sure that you're not going, all right, we can either, now we got to choose between phone service and the kid eating, shit that doesn't come out of a bag. Meaning chips and other stuff like that. I don't mean like oats on a big strap. Never mind. That's that child tax credit's there, so the people aren't choosing between the better needs of their child and the normalcy of the family because the government's going to take taxation, or the government assumes that that's not income. If you got a child to provide for, that's simply a cost of your life. That is basically, how like Trump was always saying, man, why can't we write off going to restaurants anymore? It was great for the restaurant business in D.C., which is not. It was a way for them to shuffle fucking money. But, they like big dudes like Trump are always like, I got to eat at a fancy restaurant, bring some friends, call it a business meeting, and write it off. And knock yourself the fuck out. But because the government considers that a cost of doing business and necessary, so you don't get taxed on that money. So if you're feeding and clothing and educating your kid to at least a baseline level, which the government actually has and the rest of society has an investment in you doing, so you don't crank out a toothless Mountain Dewed out meth head that can't fucking read, because it's a little difficult to get to work when those folks are driving eastbound while you're going westbound. We all have that. There is a tax-wise, we have a democratic reason for all being in on making sure that money is not taxed. It's not necessary. All right. So, but this huge expansion of welfare because of the Affordable Care Act subsidies. That's what she means. By the way, welfare, like as in the welfare of your fellow human being, as in the provide for the common welfare.
For your university.
And by the way, once they start providing for the common rent fare, then I'm in. But
Pre-propaganda K to expand it.
Pre-propaganda K. Excuse me. Beg your pardon. I'm sneezing because of the bug spray. I'm having the same reaction the mosquito is having.
Healthcare subsidies. Even when funding expires, there'll be an enormous resistance to doing away with any.
Why? Why would there be an enormous resistance? Because the people who are getting the child tax credit, if their kids are 18, why would they want it? Oh, because they recognize that it's actually a good thing. It helped them out, and it benefited not only themselves and their kids, but the people that their kids interact with.
These plans. Government programs never die, remember. They just get fatter.
No, there's a lot of government programs that are actually gone, and the Obama administration got a lot of quote-unquote regulations out of the way because they were no longer germane to anything. We don't have, in this country, for example, let's see, that's a good example. We do not have, like, a wagon management service. Anyways, we'll get
and more permanent.
How can you become more permanent? Just saying. I know I'm nitpicking at this point, but more permanent than permanent. More permanent. All right.
And $550 billion ends up going to climate change programs? Oh, I'm sure there's no.
Which ones? Yeah, break them down. It just says $550 billion in climate change programs, according to the Wall Street Journal. Bring them up. It's your fucking show. Put them where this dumb fiber graphic is that you had somebody make.
I mean, no graft in there.
Well, I mean, they're obviously, at that level, there's going to be a lot of, because it's happening in a lot of red states, too. It doesn't discriminate against red states the way Trump did with, say, PPE, for example. So they're clearly, there's going to be room where there might be some financial fraud in there. So you got to pad that out. You got to have people that are actually being paid to look into that stuff to make sure that it doesn't get any worse. And so obviously Republicans who don't give a shit about the environment are going to try and steal as much money as they possibly can to fund other stuff, like meth for their mistress or something.
No payoffs of the Solyndra nature to FOJs, Friends of Joe.
I don't know that he knows anybody at solar farms. You might want to talk to Jimmy Carter about that.
This is all just another wealth transfer to...
It's a wealth transfer. She was going for welfare, and then the teleprompter fucked her into a corner. A wealth transfer. It's an elf transfer. Just in time for Christmas. Sorry, just in time for the war on Christmas. A wealth transfer. Well done. Never go back. Never go back and fix it. Just we know what you meant. Wealth.
Wing activists. They're going to take your money and give it to their Greeniac friends.
Their Greeniac friends. Greeniac, that's a new term. We're Greeniacs. What would that make you then? A coliac? That sounds like colon cancer.
By the way, included in the climate slush fund is $320 billion for something called green energy and electric vehicle subsidies, though it's not exactly clear that old Joe even knows how those confounded things work.
We'll build out the first ever national network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations all across the country. You can go all the way across America on a single tank of gas, figuratively speaking. It's not gas. You plug it in.
Yeah, figuratively speaking, that's what he's saying. Like, what would be a cost of one tank of gas because you plug it in, and he knows that the audience varies between the very hip and onto it and the not so hip. So frankly speaking, it's like this. By the way, when Laura Ingraham loved it when George Bush would go, in other words, it's a car. It's like a electric car, but with a battery. You don't have to drive. A lot of people think it stays plugged in. You can only drive as far as the cord. We're going to sell a lot of extension cords.
Sounds like someone forgot to plug him in. There's also 110...
I'm sorry. What? Miss Wealth Transfer said what? You didn't roll back and fix wealth? He's talking live. She could do her... I would recommend, Laura, doing your show 10 minutes ahead of time. And that way, if you really fuck up like that, you have kind of like a 2-minute dump button to scream at the help and have them fix the teleprompter even though it was your fuck up.
$1 billion earmarked for
wealth transfer, for elf transfers.
Growing supply chains, but just for renewable energy.
Do it in ways that grow the domestic industries, create good-paying union jobs, address long-standing environmental injustices as well. We're going to get off the sidelines on manufacturing solar panels and wind farms and electric vehicles with targeted manufacturing credits. We're sourcing the materials from here in the United States.
That's interesting because his own administration just blocked a copper and nickel mining project in Minnesota.
Oh, I see. So if it doesn't come from that particular group or that particular company, it means we're not interested in it. Okay, let's see. Excuse me 1 second, if I may. I'm going to look this up on my phone currently. Let's see. Let's go to there. Plus, don't forget to super chat, like, and subscribe. Anything you can do to help out is wonderful. Help me improve. Now I've got to have 2 satellite studios to make this one work. Okay, let's see. Copper mining U.S. Okay, that'll work. Whoops. This phone is short, and it's the quality. Let's see. Quit it. I'm all thumbs mostly. Copper mining, U.S. I have to wait for that to come up. It's a little slow back here in the back house. How many people want to guess that that's the only mining company in the United States, and not only are they the only ones, but they have a spectacular safety track record, or that they're even American.
A move that Reuters describes as the latest example of
U.S. plan to block Minnesota copper nickel mine. The latest example, Biden's plan to look abroad for metal supplies to shore up support for environmentalists, counters private commitment to miners during the IC. So it's particularly toxic and upriver from one of the aquifers. I see.
Biden's plan to look abroad for our metal supplies.
That's a quote from someone. Is that a quote from the article itself? Let's see. U.S. copper. Let's see. Copper. Let's see. Was produced from 23 mines in the U.S., top copper producing states in 2014. In descending order are Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, Nevada, and Montana. Huh. That's weird. Minnesota's not in the top 5? It probably could be if it wasn't for old Joe Biden. Let's see. U.S. copper mines get riskier as Biden stalls resolution land swap. Oh, I see. Copper mining in the United States. I'm pulling this up right now. This is March of 21 from S&P Global. Sorry. Oops. Wait. Back up. Hold on. U.S. copper mines get riskier as Biden stalls resolution land swap. Members of the San Carlos Apache Nation protest outside the U.S. Capitol on July 22nd, 2015. Whoops. Except there. Go back out here. What's happening? There you go. This is older. When is this? Biden stalls. Okay. It's a picture of members of the Apache protesting outside the U.S. Capitol in 2015 against a potential land swap that would give the proposed resolution copper mine access to Oak Flat, an area of Arizona that's sacred to the tribe. Okay, so that's an Arizona top copper mine in the country. Biden presidency in the U.S. was expected to bring about enthusiasm for the green revolution metals to fuel it, but faced with a decision to permit one of the most valuable mining projects in the country, the new administration sided with environmentalists and indigenous rights activists. Those bastards! The U.S. Agricultural Department's decision to withdraw approval for the proposed resolution copper mine. This is in Arizona. So that's the latest one. So basically, they're just stopping copper mining on sacred Indian land, apparently. All right, let's go copper mining, Minnesota. We'll bring that up. That's got to be. White House moved to, okay. Oh, here we go. 2 days ago. That's right. Let's bring this up. There we go. A Biden administration review could, U.S. plan would block. Notice it hasn't happened yet on that thing. A Biden administration review could curtail copper mining. Here it is. Near the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness in Minnesota, an area known for its pristine nature. We don't have time for pristine shit. We need copper from a sixth state. Biden administration has taken a major step toward banning copper mining on the edge. Oh, not everywhere else. Geez, I thought they were shutting the whole fucking thing down. On the edge of the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness, that's 1 million acres of federally protected lakes and forests on the Minnesota-Canada border. Last week's announcement is the latest in a long-standing tug-of-war spanning 3 White House administrations. Let's see. Ely, Minnesota was founded in the 1800s as a mining town, but the last underground iron ore mine closed more than 50 years ago, and now the town is known less for its rocks and much more for its water. Nobody needs water. We can drink coins. Just drink a glass of pennies every day. That'll keep you hydrated. Every year, tens of thousands of people travel here to paddle and portage through the pristine Boundary Waters, and many of them rent camping gear from Steve Paragas. This is Steve Paragas talking. Some of the cleanest water in North America comes out of these headwaters lakes, and you can drink the water out of them in a cup by dipping it into the lake as you paddle along. Where are you going to find that? Not many places in North America. Not if Laura Ingraham has her way. We need copper because, as you know, most of the highest of high tech is made out of copper wires. We need more pennies so that, yeah, Jesus.
Support with
fucking dumb. Why do you play the rest? Like, counters private commitment to minors during the... There's not even a fucking mine there.
Environmentalists, and then counter to his private commitment to minors.
Sorry, his private commitment to minors in West Virginia?
American
Or in Pennsylvania? How about that? What do you want to bet? There's copper areas in Pennsylvania you could go after. You know what? How about Eastern Kentucky, dumbass?
blue-collar workers are going to get shafted once again.
Well, except unless they're blue-collar workers that drink the water in Minnesota. If you live in Minnesota and you don't drink water because fish fuck in it, you're going to be pissed. Drunk and pissed.
Biden's big climate push has zero to do with helping the American people and everything to do with appeasing the globalists at that
Jews. That's what you mean.
UN climate summit coming up in Glasgow. And
Really? Hello, welcome, you bastard. Hello. You know Rabbi Johnson. He's one of these guys who comes down here every year and today. Biden, I know you're an Irish son of a bitch. Come over here. Sit down. Welcome to Glasgow. Now, understand that you've... Did you fuck your coal miners? I don't mean literally. I mean, did you ruin their lives? Oh, good. All right. Well, is there a way you can just keep the water clean until we can remove most of the people from the earth? Hold on. George Soros is here. He's going to play bagpipes. You ever seen this before? It's fucking magic. Whoops. Shit. Did I jump back? I did.
But with Biden and Pelosi, it's the art of the fail.
All right, well, hold on.
The Democrats, they have the House,
I had to
the
jump in.
Senate, and
Shut
$1
up.
billion for something called green energy to his private
There it is.
commitment
Okay.
to minors. American blue-collar workers are going to get shafted once.
Well, no. As a matter of fact, a lot of blue-collar people who work in mines, they often get shafted. Coal miners, for example, they've gotten trapped in mine shafts. That's a way of getting shafted that Laura Ingraham has never and will never experience. But it's other people. Who gives a fuck?
Again, Biden's big climate push has zero to do with helping the American people and everything to do with appeasing the globalists at that UN climate summit coming up in Glasgow in just a couple of days. It's all some part of something this show has been warning about for months.
Oh, here it comes. This is what it's about. And that's the name of this clip, by the way. We've been warning you this would happen. Here it comes. This is the warning.
It's the Great Reset.
Oh, okay. Shit, I did not see that coming. She's just basically human centipeding behind Glenn Beck's ideas. The Great Reset. You know, the Agenda 21 of Jade Helm of economic policies by the World Economic Forum. Most of you only know the World Economic Forum from the video of Greta Thunberg losing her shit while talking to them.
Now, back in January, the global elites who gather at Davos every year
In an underground chamber where they all wear black hoods. Die Jesu Domine, dona eis requiem. Die Jesu Domine, dona eis requiem. All right. That's what happens at Davos. They give me they send me a ticket every year and I could never get there.
told us where this was all heading.
You don't want to go back to the status quo that you had before.
Well, yeah, obviously because we were headed towards, climate problems and we could fix things, right?
Simply because it was the status quo that got us here.
Capitalism, as we know it, is dead.
World Economic Forum on their YouTube, RIP Capitalism. Why is there only a dot after the R?
This obsession that we have had with maximizing profits for shareholders alone has led to incredible inequality and a planetary emergency.
We must rebuild our relationship.
Oh, dear God, is a black woman with some sort of hairdress. She looks like a gay member of the Warriors. Cool it. Swan's war chief. No, he's not.
Nature for the survival of the peoples and our planet.
That's ridiculous.
Was that hair pink or was that part of the...
That's a scarf. I mean, I'm watching a video that you put on of that video, and I know what the fuck is going on. Does anybody at Fox do show prep?
Green Energy Project. And that, of course, means sacrificing your standard of living and sacrificing your freedoms.
Oh, except it doesn't, right? Okay.
And handing over more power to ecocrats at the UN.
Ecocrats. I thought they were greeniacs.
Who's going to be the big beneficiary of all of this?
Oh, and there we have it. Not only is she rusty tromboning the ideas of Glenn Beck, she's dovetailing behind MTG as well. China's going to be the beneficiary of this because China's benefiting from all of this. Of course, they're having a huge energy problem right now, massive flooding. They're dealing with terrorists from Afghanistan in a way they've never had to deal before. They're in a fist fight war with India right now. Russia doesn't trust them. We just gave nuclear-powered submarine technology to Australia, and they're now letting us dock our nuclear-powered submarines in their ports, violating a lease that China had temporarily had. And we've got ships and soldiers in and around Taiwan and in the Indo-Pacific region. We've rebuilt we've restabilized the Quad, which is the Quad is to China what NATO is to Russia. And the AUKUS agreement is getting deeper all the time. And we're training soldiers in Taiwan right now. But it's all for the benefit of... Oh, and their economy's taking a shit right now because of Evergrande. It's like the canary in the coal mine. It's a giant fucking canary, and it just died. And it's so big, the cat that tried to drag it in actually died in the process. Rolled over on the cat. Its canary was so big. Fucking hell.
The CCP will be. And they're going to be part
Why?
of the socialist one world web of regulations and rules that undermine U.S. sovereignty.
How? They have no say in it. Everything in the Paris Accord is optional based on the economic impact of stuff. Russia's... they shut off Australian coal because they were having a row with Australia about the submarines, and then they had rolling blackouts in giant cities. Production is down. The supply chains are fucked largely because they had to literally shut down factories because they didn't have enough coal in their own country. They have the biggest coal mine in the world, and it's underwater right now. Does she know any fucking thing? Do any of these people look out a goddamn window, much less read anything about the rest of the world?
China dominates the renewable energy arena already, including...
No, they don't. They build a lot of the shit, and they steal technology. They make the solar panels. We could make them here. It's a high-paying job. It's not one of these, they have an assembly plant there. A lot of the parts are made in other countries. Do you not fucking know this? Christ almighty. And... the fact that they're over there and right now, okay, I feel like sometimes I'm the only person who pays attention to what's actually going on in China sometimes. I think it's H5N1, the new bird flu. There's 64 fucking cases over there. It's spreading through China right now. They're always having these problems. I love the Chinese people and I love Chinese culture, but the government is fucked. And the idea that they've got it all together is just horse shit. It's a scare tactic. This woman is bending over for the CCP.
Rare earth raw materials that we need for so many of our products.
Bullshit. Most of them come from Africa. They're ahead of us because of the Belt and Road Initiative, but Trump got us out of all these countries. Trump was bitching at his people, why the fuck do we need to be in Nigeria? Why the fuck? Well, because Boko Haram is horrifying and it murders people, and we have a relationship with the mines there where we can actually... that benefits each of us. Let's get the fuck out. It's just full of black people.
Those solar panels, those wind turbines that Biden was bragging about.
That he wants to have made here, and we can make here.
They're all going to be made overseas.
No, they aren't.
And once again, we'll increase our dependence on a murderous, despotic regime. Have we learned nothing from COVID?
Well, apparently you haven't.
No wonder the CCP is so
I'm sure she was this pissed about Trump's trade deal.
adamant now about climate action.
We must be committed to green development. As long as we unite in our purposes and efforts, we will rise above the global climate and environment challenges.
Even the
This is fucking boilerplate. Who cares?
translator is creepy sounding.
I'm sorry, is that true? I haven't heard your translator. I just assumed you were speaking German.
Now, China has repeatedly embarrassed and outmaneuvered the White House. And
No, it has not. And the fact that she's asserting this is fucking horrifying. Honest to God, we just said the AUKUS deal and the fact that we have troops in Taiwan is a strategic move that's of vast global importance. What she's going to talk about is this fucking missile. You think they started building that missile on January 20th?
now they're doing the same thing on climate. Because to the CCP, it's like taking candy from a Biden. It's easy. Even if Biden passes his mass...
I don't know why it would be very hard to take candy from a Biden. First of all, Hunter had a crack addiction. I'm guessing if you tried to steal his gum, he'd wig out on you. Secondly, Biden likes ice cream. You wouldn't be taking it, he'd give it to you. Nah, I just have the cone. You can have that.
bill, all that climate spending will have zero impact on future warming. China's going to make sure of that. In the meantime...
Well, no, we have to. That means the rest of the world has to make up for that part. And their economy is taking a giant shit. And if we continue to build things there, or we let them, have these factories and that kind of stuff, and we don't work with the other countries in the Indo-Pacific region and build them in countries that we do have agreements with, that will build them with the environment in mind, China will continue to grow, and their energy needs will continue to grow right along with it. All these factories are run on fucking coal. That's why you decentralize production from China to other countries that have other energy possibilities. And you help them move away from them over time. But what she wants to be is all in with China.
It will be full throttle backward for the United States. We're going to go from being an independent, energy self-sufficient, first world country, we'll have a reliable grid, to be...
We had a reliable grid. Fucko, you just made fun of the infrastructure bill, which improves our electric grid and brings broadband across the whole fucking country.
Almost a third world nation forced to beg others for help.
Why would we have to beg others for help? The fuck are you talking about? The only reason China would be making the solar panels and the wind turbines, and we would, by the way, put them up and service them, which would be regular union jobs also, because you're not going to get parts from them. Just trust me on that. But why would we be begging them for those when we're simply paying a lower price for them because they're made in China? It's the only reason. The only reason they would be made over there is because of low-cost labor in particular. But if you weigh against it the cost of being in bed with them and getting all this low-cost labor, what's the ultimate cost baked in if you count the pandemic? Was it a deal? Hey man, this guy will sell you a car for $75,000. $75,000, fuck. I don't know. This guy will sell you a car for $20,000. That sounds way better. Yeah, but he after you've been driving it for 10 years, he stabs you, and your hospital bills will be $600,000. Yeah, but I only have to pay the 20 right now, right? Yeah, you only have to pay the 20, and that won't happen for 10 years. What if I just avoid the dude? Well, you can't. He'll find you. It's going to happen within 10 years. Fuck. $75,000? Yeah, I mean, that's the cost of what it takes to build the car or whatever. Yeah, but this one's 20. But, Can I think about it? No, you can't. Someone else is going to buy both of them. Shit.
When wind and sunshine can't sustain us.
Well, that's why you do micronuclear or thorium nuclear plants. And is this a problem with her understanding what net zero means again? When they don't understand, they think zero means zero emissions, and we mean net zero. We take out as much carbon as we put in, and it evens it out, so we can manage that. And then over time, as the technology improves, we can lower the amount of carbon we're putting out to ultimately zero. But the net zero at 25, fucking look who I'm talking to, Mrs. SATs.
Meanwhile, our economy is just going to continue to stagnate or even contract. And
well, that's why you would want an infusion of money into the labor force for actual shit instead of UI, for example. You'd want people working on roads and bridges and that kind of stuff, because that extrapolates out. Every dollar you spend on infrastructure as far as labor costs goes provides $7 in movement in the economy overall.
Americans are going to see their savings and their income just eroded by the rising tide of inflation.
Well, no. No, not once the supply chain gets closer to home and we're relying more on, say, Mexico and Canada for the majority of our goods that we do trade on, as opposed to China. The cost of the goods that we've had all this time that are cheap, according to her, and America's gotten used to these cheap goods, and the price has been so low. The price of all that shit for the last 25 years includes the 2008 crash, on top of it, any rise in fuel costs, and COVID. Everything that happened because of COVID is directly linked to the depth of the supply chain coming from where it came from. All of it. Any $25 item you bought in 2005 has $100 of extra cost in saving and attempting to save lives from COVID. Every fucking thing. Think back to everything you bought. The phone you bought for $900, the real cost of that phone is almost $2,000 because you've had to, because your business has been shut down, lost wages, lost customers. All that's part of the cost of having that phone assembled in China. That's included in the price tag.
Dollar's not going to go as far. Our debt and deficit could further explode.
Well, no, because, I mean, obviously Trump's not in office, so it won't rise as fast as it did under him. And, of course, we're no longer paying for Afghanistan. Oh, did I mention we're out of Afghanistan? Did she mention we're out of Afghanistan? I'm sure she was very nice.
We're going to be worse off than we are now. That's why Democrats pinning their re-election hopes on this bill, oh my gosh, they're in for a big surprise.
Well, good. Then let it pass. And plan on hanging it around their neck next year. Please do. And Democrats, Progressive House Caucus especially, give this to her. Pass both of them. You'll end up with a 1.5 and a 1.7. Pass both of them. Stop fucking around. They will, by the way. They're going to. I'm just letting you know. And so next year, Laura Ingraham, around August, as blue-collar people are going back to work, especially on these bigger projects and having long-term projects to look forward to, and factories are open, including the Taiwanese chip manufacturer that's opening a factory in Arizona. I'm sure she'll be at the ribbon cutting apologizing.
When Americans go to the polls in a year, do Democrats really believe that voters are going to be pulling the lever for a standard of living that's now lower than it was a year or two earlier?
Well, definitely not 2, because 2 would be in the middle of COVID when Trump was like, I don't want to don't leave those people on that cruise ship. I don't need 42 people added to my death count.
I don't think so.
Okay, well then, keep thinking. Good luck with that. You seem new to the concept.
And that's the angle.
Oh, that's the angle. See, I thought it was the Angela. That's my mistake.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Oh, God. Just when I thought I couldn't see something worse. We don't get to have a little segment on Laura Ingraham very often. I look forward to her, knifing my tires next year, politically. Let's pass those bills, both of them, and we'll see how, she can do a little I told you so dance. I will welcome it with open arms. Like this. I'm not going to put my hand up like she does. Mm-mm.